Imagine walking into a supermarket where products from every corner of the world are neatly stacked on shelves. Fresh fruit from South America, electronics from Asia, cars assembled with parts from multiple continents, and clothing designed in Europe but manufactured elsewhere all seem to appear effortlessly. Most people rarely stop to think about the incredible journey these products have taken. Behind this seamless global experience lies one of the most revolutionary innovations in modern history: containerization. While it may sound like a simple concept involving large metal boxes, containerization transformed global trade, reshaped economies, revolutionized transportation, and changed the way businesses and consumers interact with the world. The modern economy as we know it would simply not exist. Before containerization, international shipping was slow, expensive, and incredibly inefficient. Cargo was loaded piece by piece onto ships in a process known as break bulk shipping. Workers manually carried sacks, barrels, crates, boxes, and machinery into the ship's cargo hold, carefully arranging everything by hand. Loading a single ship could take several days or even weeks. Once the ship reached its destination, the entire process had to be repeated in reverse. Every individual package had to be unloaded, inspected, sorted, and transported separately. This required thousands of dock workers and created enormous delays. Cargo was frequently damaged, misplaced, or stolen, making international trade both risky and costly. Because transporting goods was so inefficient, companies generally manufactured products close to where they were sold. Producing goods overseas simply wasn't practical for many industries because transportation costs often outweighed any savings from cheaper labor. As a result, international trade existed, but remained limited compared to today's interconnected economy. Many products were expensive because moving them across oceans required significant time, manpower, and money. Everything began to change in the 1950s, thanks to an American trucking entrepreneur named Malcolm McLean. Frustrated by the time trucks spent waiting at ports while their cargo was unloaded piece by piece, McLean envisioned a standardized metal container that could move directly from trucks to ships and trains without unpacking its contents. Instead of handling thousands of individual items, workers would simply move entire containers using cranes. It was a remarkably simple idea, but its impact would be enormous. In 1956, McLean launched the first commercial container shipping voyage using converted oil tankers carrying standardized containers. The experiment proved that shipping costs could be dramatically reduced while increasing speed and reliability. What once required days of manual labor could now be completed within hours using specialized cranes and equipment. The shipping industry quickly realized that standardized containers represented the future. One of the greatest strengths of containerization was standardization. Containers were built with uniform dimensions, allowing them to fit perfectly on ships, trains, and trucks regardless of the transportation company or country involved. Ports around the world invested in compatible cranes and storage facilities, creating a universal logistics system. Suddenly, a container packed in one factory could travel thousands of miles across multiple transportation networks without ever being opened until reaching its final destination. This dramatically reduced shipping costs. Studies estimate that containerization lowered transportation expenses by more than 90% compared to traditional methods. Lower shipping costs made global trade economically viable on a massive scale. Businesses no longer needed factories close to their customers because products could now be transported cheaply across continents. Manufacturing shifted toward regions with lower labor costs, allowing companies to produce goods more efficiently while keeping prices affordable for consumers. Containerization also dramatically improved speed. A cargo ship that once remained in port for over a week could now be loaded and unloaded in less than a day. Faster turnaround times meant ships spent more time transporting cargo instead of sitting idle. Shipping companies could operate more efficiently, reducing costs even further, while increasing the volume of global trade. Reliability improved as well, since cargo remained sealed inside containers throughout its journey. Goods experienced far less damage and theft. Electronics, clothing, machinery, food products, and pharmaceuticals all benefited from greater protection during transportation. Businesses could confidently manage inventories knowing shipments would arrive safely and predictably. The rise of containerization also transformed entire cities. Traditional port districts that relied on thousands of dock workers gradually declined because container terminals required fewer workers, but much larger facilities. Many older ports located in city centers became obsolete as modern container terminals moved to larger areas with deeper water and better transportation connections. Some former industrial waterfronts were eventually redeveloped into residential neighborhoods, parks, offices, and entertainment districts, completely changing urban landscapes. Global manufacturing experienced perhaps the most dramatic transformation. Companies began designing complex international supply chains, where different components of a single product could be manufactured in multiple countries before final assembly elsewhere. A smartphone, for example, may contain chips produced in Taiwan, displays manufactured in South Korea, batteries from China, software developed in the United States, and assembly performed in Vietnam. Containerization made coordinating these complex supply networks both practical and affordable. Consumers benefited enormously from this new system. Products became less expensive while offering greater variety. Supermarkets could stock food from around the world year-round. Online retailers gained access to international suppliers. Furniture, electronics, clothing, toys, appliances, countless other products became available at prices that would have been unimaginable before container shipping revolutionized logistics. The growth of e-commerce owes much of its success to containerization. Companies like Amazon and countless global retailers rely on efficient international supply chains built around standardized containers. Massive distribution centers receive thousands of containers filled with products before rapidly distributing them to customers worldwide. Without containerization, the speed and affordability consumers now expect from online shopping would be nearly impossible. Containerization also accelerated globalization itself. Nations became increasingly interconnected through trade, investment, and manufacturing partnerships. Developing countries gained access to international markets, attracting foreign investment and creating millions of jobs. Countries like China experienced extraordinary economic growth partly because container shipping enabled them to export manufactured goods efficiently to customers around the globe. However, containerization has also introduced challenges. Global supply chains became highly interconnected, meaning disruptions in one region can quickly affect industries worldwide. The COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated this vulnerability when factory shutdowns, port congestion, shipping delays, and container shortages disrupted supply chains across nearly every industry. Consumers experienced shortages of electronics, automobiles, furniture, and household goods as global logistics networks struggled to keep pace. Environmental concerns have also become increasingly important. Modern container ships transport enormous quantities of cargo while consuming large amounts of fuel. Although shipping remains one of the most efficient methods of moving goods by weight, the industry's contribution to greenhouse gas emissions has encouraged investment in cleaner fuels. More efficient ship designs, electrified port operations, and alternative propulsion technologies aimed at reducing environmental impact. Automation continues transforming container shipping today. Modern ports increasingly rely on autonomous cranes, automated guided vehicles, artificial intelligence, robotics, and sophisticated logistics software to move containers with incredible precision and efficiency. Some container terminals operate around the clock with minimal human intervention, further reducing costs while increasing productivity. Real-time tracking systems allow businesses to monitor shipments anywhere in the world, providing unprecedented visibility across global supply chains. The future of containerization may include fully autonomous cargo ships, blockchain-powered logistics systems, AI-driven route optimization, and even smarter containers capable of monitoring temperature, humidity, location, and security throughout their journey. These innovations promise to make global trade even more efficient while addressing environmental and operational challenges. Despite its relatively simple appearance, the standardized shipping container stands as one of humanity's most transformative inventions. It quietly revolutionized commerce without attracting the same public attention as the internet, smartphones, or airplanes. Yet its influence reaches nearly every aspect of modern life. The affordable products we purchase, the global businesses we rely upon, the rapid growth of international trade, and the interconnected economy we experience every day all depend on this humble steel box. Containerization didn't simply improve shipping. Fundamentally reshape civilization by shrinking distances, connecting markets, enabling globalization, and making the modern world more accessible than ever before. Every time a cargo ship crosses an ocean carrying thousands of colorful containers stacked high above its deck, it serves as a reminder that one simple innovation helped build the global economy that powers our lives today.